Welcome to Heber Valley Life podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Kahler, Executive Director of the Community Alliance for Main Street. And each week we highlight community builders who make our valley better, a better place to live, work, and play. Today I'm excited to welcome Scott Phillips. Scott and his wife, Christy, moved to Heber just about 20 years ago. And since then, Scott has dedicated countless hours to serving our community through Rotary, Wasatch Community Foundation, and the Heber Valley Hospital Board. 4 years on the Heber City Council, and now as a candidate for mayor of Heber City. So, Scott, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here this morning.
Yep.
And let's start out personally. What are some of the things that drive you, your family, your faith, your profession?
Oh man, I think faith is number one. Really, when we moved here 20 years ago, we were looking for a place where we felt welcomed and where we belonged, and we did in Heber Valley. And family came shortly after. A month after we moved here, our son was born. Wow. He's serving a mission in the Philippines right now. And my daughter is a senior in high school. My other daughter is a sophomore. Our wife, Christy, is a music therapist, works in hospice right now. So I'm sure there's a lot of families that have been affected by her work in the Valley that don't even know that we're related. But she's an angel, and we love Heber Valley, and raising our family here has been a really great joy.
Yeah, in fact, that's the first I met you with Music Together.
Yes.
I signed up. My daughter, who's 16, was just a toddler and was very shy. And I felt like music would be a great opportunity for her to kind of get her feet under her before she went to free school.
Yeah.
So I went to Christy once a week for a couple weeks and really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah. She was doing infants and toddlers at that time. Kind of grew with our kids.
But Christy really has a way with people of bringing music in. You also sing, and I think the first time I met you, you sang to me.
Probably.
And I appreciated just that openness.
Well, the first few times I met you, I would confuse you with your sister Robin.
Yes. We do look a lot alike.
Yeah, but and music's a big part of our life.
I love that. Also part of your life has been service.
Yes.
And I really wanted to dive into the multifaceted places that you have served in this community. Let's start with the Rotary. How many years have you been involved with Heber Valley Rotary?
Well, the first week I got here, I tried to contact someone in Rotary and found George Bennett. And his name in my phone still is George Rotary. He didn't have a last name, right? And met with the Rotary Club at the small Rotary band shell in the park, and we had pizza, and that was my first Rotary meeting 20 years ago when I first arrived in the Valley.
And you've played multiple roles in leadership and running a lot of those trips.
Yeah, and what I love most about Rotary is the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Which we see in the society is pretty hard to follow these days, but it's really something I've had at the core of what I try to do. And was a president of Rotary. I organized the first Rotary International trip from Heber to Guatemala probably 12 years ago. We did an amazing water project there, providing water for a whole village, and saw firsthand how these people would walk down the hill to get their water carried up the mountain on their head. And that was how they did it before. We were able to put a pump in, a water tank, and PVC pipe basically was how they got water to all the homes in the village. It just changed their lives. So a lot of impact with Rotary.
I mean, service really, the service with Rotary really aligns with you as a person, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it really encompasses what you have wanted to do in so many facets of your life. Not only are you attending Rotary, but you have taken your children out to very remote part of the world. You took the Rotary Club to Guatemala, but you even missed a Christmas to take your
I missed
kids.
my first council meeting because I was remote on the first council meeting.
Yeah.
But we went to our first one. We thought Christmas break would be a good time to do it because you have 2 weeks. And the first one we did, we looked for a country that didn't celebrate Christmas. So we went to Cambodia. And it was perfect because they didn't celebrate Christmas. They have Santa Claus and Christmas trees and things, but they don't celebrate Christmas there. And we stayed in primitive conditions. And my youngest, I think, was 4 or 6 years old. And My oldest was 9 or 10, and it was just a fabulous experience. And my kids,
I was going to say, how did your kids feel about it?
they still talk about that trip. And they all, no matter how old they were, they still remember it. And we worked with a school and brought music into the school. Took 300 harmonicas. Our one hiccup on the trip was we had to go through China. And we had these 300 harmonicas in my suitcase, and they had to like open the harmonicas and make sure they weren't dangerous. We took 300 harmonicas. By the end of the week, the whole school was knowing how to play harmonicas, and we'd wake up in the morning. We stayed near the property, and you could hear kids practicing their harmonicas around the property. It was pretty fun.
But that has really installed something in your kids. You mentioned that your son is now serving a mission. Really struggled the first part of it, but he's got his feet under him. How much do you think those trips influenced and prepared him for what he's doing now?
I don't think he would have stayed if he hadn't been in that circumstance before and knew he could get through it. Because that in Cambodia, we had to take a shower with a bucket. It was very primitive. So when he got to Philippines and it was similar, he's like, "Oh, I've been here before.
Wow, I can get through it."
Yeah.
I mean, that's really a testament to you and Christy, though, for setting your kids up for success to endure some hard things early on.
Yeah.
So when they are in those situations, they know that, hey, I have the grit to get through this.
Yeah, and mountain biking has been a big part of that too.
Yeah.
All of our kids kind of hem and hawed at mountain biking, but we stuck with it. And now all of them have raced in high school. The two girls are racing right now. On years where I'm not campaigning, I'm a ride leader, and I try to go as many times as I can. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays nights, so I miss first council meetings. But this year with the schedule, haven't done that.
Right.
I've been riding at the races as a on-course marshal. The hard things we do help us down the road. My youngest daughter has pretty high anxiety, and these different circumstances, it's fun to watch her just conquer the little hard things and get better over time.
And it's interesting with mountain biking, unlike other sports where I can just drop my child off and hand them over to the coach. It really has been a program that is highly parental involved, but you've been one of those parents that isn't just fixing flat tires. I mean, you're riding along with these kids, you're encouraging them, you're teaching them life lessons, and you're going out and being course marshal. Why do you do that? I mean, there's a lot of other parents that probably have more time than you.
Well, actually, I love the course marshaling because I'm just out there with the kids, usually kind of one-on-one, and just getting away from the crowd. I really recharge alone. I know people may think that sounds weird.
Because you are a people person.
I'm a people person, but I really recharge the batteries with downtime. And riding around the course as a course marshal is downtime to me. I can still be active and participating, but you're just out there in nature and helping kids have a good race.
Yeah. And stay on course.
So I enjoy that.
I love that. Yeah, I want to transition to your time on the hospital board.
Yeah.
How many years did you serve? I know you were there when a lot of big decisions were made about the renovation of the hospital, and that wasn't an easy decision.
Oh.
But talk us through kind of that experience and what you learned about the healthcare system, as well as what we were providing for our community here.
Well, there was a book I read, and I wish I remember the title. It was talking about how we got to our current healthcare system. And it's really fascinating because doctors used to be like the lowest paid person in the community and more of a servant, public servant than anything. And from getting to that to where they make really good money, highly in demand, and we pay for all of these services, the scans, the tests, everything that we have to do and pay for, where it's become a multi-trillion-dollar industry is fascinating. But how we can have a local hospital here in Heber that has the capability it has to take care of us is pretty amazing. And the building of the hospital in Park City, I joined the board just after the Park City Hospital came online. And I think I was on, I can't remember, it was like 6 years or 8 years total. But Park City had a board and Heber City had a board. What I loved about our board was that everybody had kind of the same goal. We're trying to do good for the hospital. We'd sit and listen to experts, give us information, we process the data, and we come to decisions. And there were some hard decisions. But I think a majority of what we did was unanimous decisions, because we would all come to an agreement, a place of agreement. And I love serving on that board. I resigned my position there when I was elected to the city council. Resigned from the Wasatch Community Foundation at the same time. The Heber Hospital and the decisions we've made to add operating rooms, to have the growth, I'm glad that there's people that are outside of our realm that are saying, this is coming, you need to try to do something different. Because if we didn't have them saying that, we wouldn't be prepared.
Right. And especially with healthcare, I think for a long time we were a rural hospital just dealing with emergencies, car accidents. We're a high recreation area, so we were seeing a lot of people out in the mountains coming in and needing triage and treatment, and then we would send them somewhere else. But while you were on board, you really made that decision of, it's time that we take care of our own here in the valley.
Yeah.
And have the resources here, and hire the right staff and enlarge the campus. And that's where multi-million-dollar investment into the Heber Valley Hospital, to make sure that we had the right tools, the right resources for our community.
Well, since then, the Park City and Heber hospitals have combined their boards. So the collaboration there has actually increased our capability. And I think it's a cool example for everybody, that we don't have to be silos, that if we can find ways to work together, it increases the benefit for everyone.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Wasatch Community Foundation, and I know for many years, one of your goals on that community foundation was to raise money for student scholarships. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids that you never met, and yet they were the benefactor of you being willing to solicit to the community education and furthering these students that may not get an opportunity to go to college. Why did you spend so much time doing that?
Well, my background is golf course management before my current profession. So I have a master's degree in hospitality with a focus on managing golf courses. And I did my internship managing golf tournaments. So I was just taking talents I had, resources that I had, back to the community to say, I can do this. And I ran the golf tournament for 10 years with a great team of people. Deb Van Leeuwen's one of those. And we worked very closely together to help provide an opportunity to raise that money. I think we would raise $200,000 a year for about 10 years. What I loved about the program then with the community foundations, the kids applied for a scholarship. They had to apply for like 20 others before they qualified. Right. We could calculate how much money they were earning through scholarships. And it would be like $2 million, like our $200,000 would leverage $2 million plus a year of scholarships.
We're really teaching those students how to apply, how to follow through. Eventually, now they're doing interviews. Mm-hmm. So it's really preparing those students for that bridge to get from high school to college.
Right. So something that seemed relatively easy to me. Golf tournaments are pretty daunting to most people.
Yeah.
But it was just second nature to me. I like to do it. I knew how to do it. The hardest part is calling people to ask them for their money, right? But I really enjoyed my time doing that.
Yeah, so great. And you really did create that foundation in a scholarship realm that has been built on now to, I think last year they announced $4 million in scholarships that are given to those seniors. It's amazing heading out. So well done there.
Thank you. It's amazing. $4 million.
Let's talk about your time on Heber City Council. So you and I had an opportunity to serve for 2 years. Yeah. And I want you to share some of the ins and outs of City Council. We could talk for hours on this, but I want to really focus on a couple of things. One, what is something that the public may not realize about serving on City Council?
There's a lot more work that goes into it than just the Tuesday meetings. When we were on the council, we would talk about different issues. We would not agree. We would agree. We wouldn't agree. But we talk through it and hear each other's ideas. And it's important to do that. The communication is just key, because if you just read the materials and come to the meeting expecting to make a decision, it's not effective. So talking to all the stakeholders, the presenters that are going to present, the city staff, your other council members, Yvonne and I probably have voted opposite on every vote pretty much, but we talk almost every meeting and just give each other an opportunity to say, is there something on this agenda you'd like to discuss, or what are your thoughts about this item? This is coming up, and we'll talk it out, and we hear each other out, and we won't agree sometimes, or a lot of the time, but it's good to talk it out. I don't think there has to be a unanimous vote. I think we have 5 members on the city council. Well, the mayor is 6, but 5 the voting members. Mm-hmm. So people can really state their opinion and vote. So I appreciate how well the council members have worked together in my 4 years. I believe we've had good relationships. I know from the outside looking in, it hasn't seemed that way, but I really truly feel like the city council members could say that I feel that way. We can work together. There's hard decisions. They're very complex decisions. They can't be made in a soundbite, but it takes weeks of conversations and talking together and coming together. And I miss having you on there, Vibe.
Oh, thanks. One of the things that I realized is the need to rely on experts. Yes. You talked about when you were on the Heber Valley Hospital Board, having experts come in and present the information. And what I found so interesting is you're electing representatives that come from different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. I really see myself as a communications background, finance, engineering. We had a lawyer when I was there. Yeah. We have a designer now. And I appreciated that each one of those individuals came with their own set of professionalism and experience and personal knowledge, but then receiving that information from the experts and trusting that our staff was giving us information because they are experts. Many of our staff have worked 20 plus years in their professions. And I was always surprised at the cynicism that the community would have once decisions were made. And I really hope that somehow we can build up that level of trust again.
I do too. I say if you're a master of all things, you're a master of nothing. Mm-hmm. There's no way to understand everything that's going on from one point of view. So like in my profession, as a financial advisor, I don't do tax. I don't do legal. There's professionals in those fields that, they'll do a better job than I will. You try to do everything, then you can't really do any of them very well. So in city council, I agree with you. People that come with different backgrounds, different strengths, like having an engineer is huge because none of us are engineers. Mike is an engineer, and he brings a lot of knowledge to the table. Having the lawyer was great because he'd look at something totally different than I would. Right. Having a communications person is amazing because you communicated better than anyone ever has with the public.
And yet there's still that mistrust.
And I don't know why that is. I really don't. When people say there's nefarious things happening, like the only reason they would do this is because they're getting paid under the table, whatever it is. I'm like, you got to give us more credit than that. I really believe those on the council are trying to do good in the community. There's no reason to put yourself through this much pain.
Well, what are you most proud of, though? I mean, on your 4 years, different issues and different topics and different developments, a lot of infrastructure discussions. I don't think people realize how often sewer, water, and roads are discussed, and then codes.
Yeah.
But what are you most proud of?
There's a couple of things. I'm a pilot, and I had an airplane at the airport before I got on the city council. And I kind of heard little rumblings around the airport of things happening, but I really had no idea what was going on until I got on the council. And the lawsuit that we were in from 2016 to 2023 was a big victory for me, I personally, because myself and Ryan were able to talk to all parties involved and bring that to a resolution. Right. It was a 7-year lawsuit, and to have that in was a big deal. The second would be the bonding we did for the sewer. We squeaked in some of those instances, 0% interest before interest rates just spiked up. And if we had discussed it even 2 more meetings, we would have missed our chance. So taking the opportunity to make the decision, which it wasn't a unanimous vote, but that we got that done and going was amazing.
And that one particularly, the sewer water replacement project, I think has been the most disgruntled with citizens because of the dirt, the dust. A lot of their front of their driveways was torn up. So while it impacted a lot of our old town, downtown residents, you now go on those roads and you almost forget. And maybe because I don't live directly there and I didn't deal with it for months on end.
Yeah.
But it's done now. The east side, I think they're looking at some of the west side.
There's a few signs still blocking.
Yes.
But people need to know that the construction is done. And once this year is over, once it's paved, I'm hoping they get those roads paved before it gets too cold. But the project's over now. And it's been ongoing since I've been on council. So
I was there when they first dug into the first pipe, and they knew how the age of some of these pipes, but they didn't know quality. They didn't know what to expect. First trench that they dug was a wooden pipe, and it would have taken 1 termite to completely annihilate that. So it succeeded. Yeah.
It's on display in the Public Works building. If anyone would like to see that wooden pipe, there it is.
Yeah. So I guess the question, what was the most challenging? You talked about the airport and the water replacement, but what has been the most challenging part of being on council?
Well, the most challenging item we dealt with was the ranked choice voting.
Yeah. And why was that?
Just misinformation, communication. It's hard even to describe what happened. But when the parties are putting out different communications and we're not unified, and it doesn't have to be unified in agreeing that it's a good thing for Heber City, but in agreeing what the facts are is important.
Yeah.
It was brutal. I mean, it was just everything we dealt with, the airport, the complaints from the projects, the ranked choice voting was the absolute worst thing we had to do.
Just highly emotional. And I have to admit, personally, when I first learned of ranked choice voting as a council member, I was unsure that was a direction that I wanted to go, because I'm very patriotic. I'm very if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I wasn't sure that the election process was broken at that time. But what I learned was, as a municipality and as a nonpartisan, so when you run for Heber City, we're not representing districts and we're not representing a party.
Yeah.
And what ranked choice voting allowed for me was an opportunity to run on a platform instead of trying to represent a party that I may not align with.
Yeah.
And not run for 8 months. Because the public is so disengaged over the summer.
They are.
And yet you come to the fall and you feel that kind of heating up. And ranked choice voting allowed for real discussion in a timely manner that the public could then literally rank who they liked best, or just vote for 1 or 2 people that they felt like, this is the candidates that I want.
Yeah. But I was proud of the resolution of that.
Yeah.
I made the motion to continue regular voting and to stop the fighting, and it was a unanimous vote. Just because we couldn't make a sound decision at that point with all of the hubaloo that had been caused.
Right. So true.
Yeah.
So you've also served on several boards. Yeah. Tell us about those boards and some of the things that you've learned, insights or experiences that you've had serving on those different boards.
Well, it's interesting to me to note that a lot of these boards that run all of our stuff of our daily lives are manned by council members from Midway, Heber, Charleston, Daniel, the county council.
Yeah, elected officials serving on utility boards, tourism boards, economic development boards that have no background.
Right.
And so I had an opportunity to serve on the Heber Light and Power Board for 4 years. And I remember the first 2 years meeting with Jason Norland and Harold Wilson monthly because I wanted to make the right decision. And I felt like I didn't have the experience to do it. And yet these are multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yeah.
And I actually was on the tourism board and stepped down and asked that you serve on that board because I felt like I was too close to it, having worked in tourism.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to have the experience, and I wanted you to bring the experience that you had into that board to expand their vision of what tourism and economic development could be.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed serving on that board. But I would like to see more community members be involved. It doesn't have to be elected officials. That's just kind of how it's fallen into. But we have so many members in the community that would love to be involved. I think that we could fill those boards with those individuals, get more input, more expertise. I mean, with Heber Line Power, it'd be great to get people who work in the power line industry to fill those seats, because it just adds another aspect of professionalism. If we start to think of managing these boards, the city in a professional manner versus political, it would be a whole different ballgame.
So true. So do you currently serve on the historic board?
I don't now.
But you did.
I did originally. That's where we first started talking about the signs, with Mike Moulton as our chair, and said, hey, we need to get some placards, some historic marker designations. They're still discussing making a historic district so we can apply for state and federal funding, which I think would be great. But that was enjoyment. I really enjoyed being with Michael Moulton, Harvey Horner, some people who have been here for a long time, their whole life. Good Heber stuff. Yes, just enjoyed their reminiscing about this building was here, and remember we used to go here. Heber has a lot of rich history. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really curious why you made the decision though you've served your 4 years. You could have run for re-election as a council member, but instead you pivoted and said, I want to run for mayor. I want to understand the thinking behind that, because as a council member, you have a vote. And as the mayor, you're really a representative of the community. You're a spokesperson. You do run the meetings, but you give away your vote. So walk me through your thinking on that.
Well, I feel like I'm a much better collaborator than a voter. I mean, I'd say in my time on council, I've probably initiated 80% of the motions. I don't even know if the term would be.
I think you just wanted to move the meeting
forward. Things going, but I would really love a more professional aspect to this. Again, not political. It doesn't have to be us against them. We can come together and make better decisions. In a weak mayor system like we have, the reason the mayor doesn't have a vote is to bring collaboration. And that hasn't been happening. So that was where I need to step up and give Heber City that option. I know there's those out there that want the mayor to have all power and authority. I'm not in that camp. I think that the power and authority comes through bringing the people together.
And I thought it was interesting that the council in 2013 were the ones that actually said, we want the city manager to be the administrator over staff.
Yes.
We want the mayor to be a weak form, meaning a spokesperson and not political.
Right.
To bring these issues and really be the spokesperson and provide both sides of issues.
Yeah.
So that both sides of the community could be represented. Well before our time. And yet it's so interesting now that has become such a discussion in the campaigning of what is the role of the mayor.
Yeah.
So I am curious though. So what is your plan if you're elected, and what would we expect for Scott Phillips?
Well, I am not going to appoint myself as chair of any boards or seek the chairmanship of any boards. I feel like the mayor of Heber City needs to represent Heber City's interests first. There have been instances where there's been a pseudo conflict of interest between Heber City and Heber Line Power, for example, where the chair of the board is Heber City mayor, or the Open Lines Committee, right? The chair is Heber City mayor right now, or the HVSSD, where the chair is the Heber City mayor. So, removing the mayorship from the being a chair of those boards, some would see as losing authority or power, but I see it totally the opposite, because you give opportunity to others, you can collaborate, potentially you get experts in those positions, and that just makes all of us a little bit stronger. That's one thing I'd like to do.
Yeah.
But then the mayor is a weak mayor. You run the meetings. You are the chair of the city council meetings. You run the meetings, and I really want to make those more effective. You'll give the presenters time to speak, then ask the questions, and make sure there's plenty of time for public comment. We just need to make sure that the meetings are running smoothly. We don't want to have the public like speaking out or raising their hand at whatever time during the meeting, which we talked about early in when I was on council with you. We set aside a public comment time, but we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be heard. Yeah. And then just working with the staff. We have a great staff in Heber City, and we take it for granted. Like, these folks are working at a hard job. They make good money, but they potentially could make more somewhere else. And they're loyal to us. We need to be loyal to them. That's all levels of the government.
All right. So let's talk about your ride-alongs.
Yeah.
You have offered yourself up to be tased by Heber City Police Department.
I did.
You've given some long nights and doing not just ride-alongs from like 2 to 6 in the afternoon. You're doing all nights. Why? I've asked you this before. Why are you staying up late to do ride-alongs with the police department?
Mostly to listen. I love seeing what they do. And the police officers are fascinating to me because they get in really tough situations. They always act really well. Like, they're always appropriate. And I look up to that. I just, like, when they're in a very intense situation, it somehow goes well and they stay cool. And, so I watch that and listen to their concerns, listen to their thoughts, what they think of the city, what's going on. I'll usually, take the officers on shift either out to a burger or we'll go get a drink at 2 a.m. in the morning or whatever, and just talk and just see, these are real people with lives, and they're here protecting us. Yeah. Most of us don't pay any mind unless we're speeding, right? Okay. But just great people, great department. I did a ride along too with the snowplow drivers.
Did not know that.
Went out at 4 a.m, picked me up at my house actually at 4, and we just did the route for 3 hours doing his plow route. So it's fun to see the cars parked in the way, for example, that he couldn't plow around, and he had windshield scrapers with a little note on it. So we take it out and put it on the car. Just something kind, trying to say, hey, this is in the way. Can you please move it? I mean, the city they really want to make life better for us. We did see people come out and throw snow at the snowplow. Because the snowplow is pushing the snow into your driveway.
Right.
Just know that's not just your driveway; that's everyone's driveway. Right. But to see that and talk about the hard things, talk about when's life like as a public works employee, and if these people have lives, families, they live here. We want them to live here. Sadly, half of our staff probably lives out of the city. Yeah. But we want them to live here, keep them happy, and providing the services we all deserve. Went out one day, I was on a ride along. I actually got called out to a water leak. Went out to a road and the water was bubbling up out of the road. The public works came, shut the water down. But it's amazing the emergencies and things that happen that people don't even know about. We lost one of our pump engines this summer and no one even knew because public works was on it. They got it replaced quickly. We had enough in reserves to last the few days that took to replace. And they're just heroes.
Yeah, sometimes unseen and forgotten.
Yeah, but they do an amazing job.
I love that. I think there's one thing that everyone's mad at, and that's growth.
Yes.
Whether you've lived here 50 years or whether you moved here last year, there just seems to be this common anxiety, uncertainty, just anger even about the growth. And it's interesting as an elected official. I don't think you can ever make a decision that's going to make everyone happy. But what's your take on the growth? Have we handled it correctly? What's ahead of us? Well, while I was on council, and I told people this, we approved 8,000 housing units. Now, 5,000 was part of the Jordanelle Ridge that was previously approved in 2006 by the county. But I've also told people, I've lived here, my family moved the valley in the 70s. And if you look at the growth over the 50 years that we've been here, it's pretty consistent. But the last 10 years has felt especially rapid. We're seeing a lot of multifamily housing. We're seeing a lot of diverse housing types. And some people are really uncomfortable with that. So I'm curious, as running for mayor, that's probably something you've come across, a lot of people questioning, why so much growth?
I don't think Heber City is unique in that. I mean, look at St. George. Look at the valley. Utah is growing dramatically. I was driving through Nephi the other day, and everything that's happened out east or west of Nephi, I'm like, wow, I'm glad we're not building that. Because what is being built here, it's actually pretty attractive compared to some other places in the state. Or what's by Springville Canyon, for example. Just cookie cutter everything. I think that the councils historically, because what's being built now has happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
North Village approvals and things. The councils did really well at trying to make it as good as they could. The densities we've talked before in the North Village were approved by the county years ago. But I think the councils have done very well in guiding how the buildings look, the variety, the different housing types. And I know someone who lives on a quarter acre thinks that everybody wants a quarter acre lot with a house on it. But that's not the case. We know that because these are selling, this is what people want. They don't want a big yard. They don't want to take care of landscaping. They want to have a place to put their bed at night and then to go play on the weekends. And that causes us to have different products to be available. The builders know what to build that's going to sell to the public. And Mike brings this up all the time, the cost of infrastructure. If you have a road with 20 quarter acre lots on it, and then you have the same road with 50 townhomes, the cost just makes more sense with the 50 townhomes. I'm not a proponent for density. I don't love density. I don't love the growth. But when you start looking at having to pay for things and how much they cost, like the water replacement project, for example, I'm so glad that we have more population to pay for that than what that area, or just the houses in that area. Because everyone in Heber Valley, or in the Heber, JSSD district, water district, is helping pay for those improvements. From down by Walmart to up in Valley Hills, even though they don't benefit directly, they're helping to pay for it. Because eventually they'll need to replace it in their neighborhood, right? And everyone will help pay for that. So the growth is helping us in ways that people don't realize. The best part about our county is 75% of our county is owned by the state or the federal government.
The open lands.
The open lands.
Wasatch County,
Yes.
Park, BLM.
We have some amazing resources. If we look out to the west, none of that will ever be developed. Timpanogos, the Wasatch State Park, Deer Creek, Jordanelle State Park is going to have development all around it, but it won't be developed. But we have some amazing open spaces here in Wasatch County.
So let's talk about affordability, though, because that seems to be the next step when we talk about, okay, there's too much growth. Market rates are high. So now we talk about affordability, and we want our police department or public works to live here. We want our school teachers and nurses to not have to drive an hour to service our community and teach our children. How does the government solve this problem? And I've always felt like I don't want the government to solve this problem, but yet that's what's being asked of our councils.
Yeah. Well, the only way to do it is to pay people more, pay them a livable wage. Is a livable wage be able to afford a place to live in Heber Valley? Or have options that are restricted just for those individuals that cost less than market value. That's the only way to go.
And I know you talked about deed restricted, and we need a better plan.
You can't build your way out of it. the demand in Heber will always outpace supply, always. So we're not building high density to try to increase supply per se, because you'll never catch up.
Right.
I grew up in Colorado. The same thing happened there. I was in a resort town, and the people that still live there live in deed restricted homes. The friends that I grew up with,
The workers,
the workers, the county employees, city employees, teachers, all my friends that are in those positions from high school live in some sort of a deed restricted home because they couldn't afford.
And not to say those are projects or homes of less value. They're very nice, but they make it so that those people can afford to live there.
That didn't work there.
I want two more questions. One, traffic.
Yes.
So as the Main Street director, I am really focused on preserving our historic Main Street, giving those businesses that are on Main Street an opportunity to thrive. And right now, with 40,000 cars a day, with over 1,000 semis going from the Uinta Basin to the refineries in the Salt Lake Valley, it feels really heavy traffic down Main Street. This discussion with UDOT for the Heber Valley corridor has been going on now for, I think we're in our 6th or 7th year.
Yeah.
It's been a highly contested project, and yet at the end of the day, it won't be city or county councils that make that decision.
No.
UDOT will make that decision.
Right.
What do you feel like is a best case scenario?
It gets done. Okay. That's the best case. And it will get done. I mean, UDOT has not, in 7 years, they have not been as focused on us, right, as they are now. Every month we're meeting. They will have a route chosen by December. They just put out another update, basically talking about how the route is chosen and how to submit your public comments and which comments are most meaningful. I think they said it's not meaningful to just say, I hate this road, get it out of here. If you have a comment, make sure that you have something like, something that's actionable, something that potentially would be an idea to put in. But I've been showing folks the design of the 1300 South road interchange. I actually went and knocked all the houses that were along that area.
And they've been very concerned. They're worried about noise. They're worried about traffic. How do I get out of my neighborhood?
Yeah. Well, no, houses that are right back there, they're going to have a 25-foot highway behind. So they're losing views. They're losing, a lot of things. It's a hard thing. When we look at the option between the Northfields or coming back into the existing 40 corridor, people have to realize that it's not going to look like it does now. If it comes back into the existing 40 corridor, you have a frontage road on each side. That means potentially the back 40 restaurant would be taken out. All the homes along there would be taken out. On the east side, you have new commercial buildings that were built that would be taken out because they'd have to widen that. And then each intersection of Coyote, I think it's Coyote and Moulton Lane and Potter's Lane would be overpasses. So bringing that back in there would cause it to be like a Bangor highway, right next to 5,000 new homes.
Right. Residential
homes. If we take it through, or UDOT takes it through the Northfields, it would be like a legacy parkway. The one argument I keep hearing about that is that we'll develop up to the highway. And that's not, I don't even think that's an argument because no one has ever said that. We've always said, let's preserve the ground. Let's keep it open space, have a trail, make it as beautiful as we can. But there are growing pains. But I kind of see it from my experience at the hospital board. Like there's experts coming in saying, hey, this is what we need to do. And if we do it, it will turn out better for everyone. If we try to do it halfway or do the wrong thing, I heard one of the candidates say the other night at the debate, if we do bring it back in, eventually we may need another bypass, which would be even worse.
Those Band-Aids. And then long-term, we have to come back and fix the end.
Right. By the way, UDOT has also said that elected officials only have the same weight in their comments as every other member of the public. Like we don't have any more authority. We don't have any more jurisdiction over those projects.
So interesting. Well, I really appreciate you coming in early, joining us, share your story. It's clear that service has been a guiding light in your life. That it's not just because you wanted to be a politician, but all the things that you've done over your life really have led you to want to serve and just have a positive voice in our community. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
Why do you serve, Scott? Why do you give up your time where you could be out golfing or doing anything else, but you really do dedicate a lot of your free time to service? Why?
It's fulfilling. You make a difference. When you have the one student who said, I never would have gone to college without your scholarship. That makes a difference. When you have the citizen who's said, thank you so much for caring enough to help me with this problem. And it's satisfying. And we have done, I wish I had a list of everything we've done in the last 4 years of good things we've done for the city. It's not all about the construction in the building, which is hard for everybody. There are so many good things we've done. If we're focusing on the good, I don't think there's anything better. I think you could.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming, for our listeners, for staying with us. This has been a really good conversation. And I think it's important that there's always a way to look at a situation and a problem in a positive way with a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, as a politician, you're never going to make everyone happy. But your job really is to take the information and make the best decision with the information that you have.
Yes. And I really wish everybody would run for office. See what it's like, experience it, and gain that, wear somebody else's shoes for a little bit and see what it's like.
Well, I tell people I'm a recovering politician. I do appreciate the time that I could represent the community, and I so appreciate those that are willing to serve.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Scott, this has been great. So we're so grateful for Gordon Law Group for letting us come in and use this amazing facility. We're grateful for Heber Valley Life magazine for getting that positive story out and really showing the community and really sharing the history that is happening right now. So Rachel Kahler with the Community Alliance for Main Street, here with Scott Phillips, and just wishing you the best day. Thanks again. Listen to us again sometime soon.